Okay, for this video I'm going to go through the more different shapes that we learn in circles. We start off with a very simple one, quadrant. Now quadrant is basically a quarter of a circle. If we have to find the area, it's quite simple. Area of a quadrant is actually pi r squared, the volume that we know, divided by 4. This is the area of the quadrant. Next, if you have to find the arc is just the curved part here. You have to find the arc of this sector. The arc would be 2 pi r divided by 4 as well, because it is a quarter of a circle. Okay, knowing this, it is very easy for us to find the other shapes. This is a very common shape we have learned so far. It's called a half rugby. I've taught in class that a half rugby is basically a quarter minus of the isosceles triangle. Okay, let me show you the quarter. The quarter is here, shaded in blue, and the isosceles triangle, because this is radius and radius, this is an isosceles triangle. Okay, clear enough. As you can tell, the half rugby, this part here, can be found simply by taking the quarter minus the isosceles triangle. So if we write it in equation, what do we get? Equals to a quarter of a circle. Now quarter of a circle we learn is pi r squared divided by 4 minus the isosceles triangle. Area for triangle, half times radius times radius. Okay, so what do I get? Okay, pi r squared divided by 4 minus half times r squared. Okay, no need to remember all this, just remember that we simply take the quarter minus the isosceles triangle, and we'll get our answer. At times you'll see this slightly different shape. We know how to find a half rugby, but sometimes the question asks you to find a full rugby. It might look difficult, but in actual fact, if you can find the half rugby, the other side, if you flip it around, you realize that, hey, the pink color shaded part is a half rugby as well. So what do you have to do? Simple. You just find this answer times 2. You'll get a full rugby. Okay, next shape, number 3, the boomerang. Simply, the boomerang is the triangle. The square, not triangle, the square minus the quadrant, and I will get the boomerang. Simple enough. So if I write it as a formula, how will it be? What will it be? Square is r times r minus the quadrant, pi r squared divided by 4. This is all you need to do. Okay, the boomerang is slightly more difficult to look for in a shape because it can come up at different places. All you have to look for is actually the quadrant. Okay, as long as it's framed by a square and the shaded part is between the square and the quadrant, like so, and it looks like a boomerang, it is a boomerang. Okay, like this case is actually a rectangle minus a semicircle, but in actual fact, if you break it down, what do you see? If you break it down, you can see that it's actually 2 of the same thing. Okay, it's 2 of the same thing. So all you have to do is find this times 2. How about this? Basically, this is double of this. So same, if you look for the boomerang, you realize that it's one boomerang. And like I explained in class, as long as the radius is the same, the circle will be the same. So one of this times 4. So to find this is basically the boomerang times 4. You will get your answer. Last, okay, the star. The star is actually 4 boomerangs as well. Okay, 1 boomerang, 2 boomerang, 3, 4. 4 boomerangs in total. So to find this answer is simply the same, the boomerang times 4. Last shape, something that I spoke about in class earlier this week, the shark's fin, as I like to call it. Now the shark fin, when they ask you find the shaded area, this is it. Okay, now it looks a bit difficult, but in actual fact it is a quadrant minus a semicircle. Important thing to note, very important thing to note, the radius of the quadrant is r, but the radius of the semicircle is not. It is half of r, because the radius becomes the diameter in this case. Okay, so how do we find this? Simple. We find the quadrant. Okay, this is a quadrant minus of diameter is r, so radius is half of r. Okay, half of r, so it's actually r over 2. Okay, radius over 2. So to find the area of this semicircle, we know we have to divide a circle by 2. Pi times the radius of this semicircle is half, is r over 2 times r over 2. Okay, don't worry about the r over 2. It's very simple. If the radius is actually 10 here in this case, if the radius is 10, half of r is actually 5. So basically you just put it in. So let's say if this is the actual working, so how will it look like? Okay, pi times 10 divided by 4 equals to pi times 5, this is minus 5 times 5 times 5 divided by 2 equals to 10 times 10 is 100. 100 pi divided by 4 is 25 pi. 25 pi minus 5 times 5 is 25. 25 pi divided by 2, 12 and a half pi. So I know for a fact that through my working, this shark fin here is 12.5 pi. And that's it. These are the 4 basic shapes you have to learn other than the circle.